It seems to me that politically speaking, Donald Trump, yes, but secondarily, Todd Blanche is going to be left holding the bag on this one.
He will be. I think really what really frustrated members of Congress with this slush fund is not just that they did it, Alicia, but it is how they announced it, right? I was on Capitol Hill the same day that Todd Blanche testified before Congress, and 3 hours after he left was when they announced the details of this fund. It's like they are thumbing their nose at the Congress, which still, according to the Constitution, has the power of the purse. And I think you also saw that same type of reaction with the courts, right? The judge in this case, this settlement was announced, I believe it was on a Monday, barely 24 hours. And now the judge is rightly asking questions and wants the case reopening because of a possible fraud on the court. And there are a lot of legal analysts say that she's on really firm ground here.
Really firm ground. We could use more of that, Angelo, because a lot of this has been a little bit in the ether, not just this slush fund, but you have the whole celebrations around the 250th birthday of this nation. I am sorry, I just can't help but think about, in contrast, what a President Kamala Harris would be doing and how this whole thing would be playing out right now. We would not be having conversations about slush funds. We would not be having conversations about ballrooms. We would not be having conversations about a whole lot of things we're having conversations about. So that firmer ground becomes very, very important. But it is also important to defend the ground you're on. And when you have these things happen, we were talking about in the first hour how Republicans seem to have a spine now, and they're coming and they're taking stronger control of. Okay, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I watched Doug Burgum over the weekend struggle to defend this Freedom 250th birthday thing. Let's take a listen and tell me how he did.
So you're going to make the donors to Freedom 250 public?
Well, that's up to the Freedom 250 organization and their arrangements with their donors.
You're a leader there, right?
The Freedom 250 organizations run out of the White House, but it is not it's not about the transparency of the donors, and this is about Americans celebrating the 250th anniversary, and it's again the fact that we are right now have so much to celebrate in our country. And we're talking about a single event on a single night in D.C.
Not about transparency. Not about transparency. So we pivot to celebrating America. That's not enforcing transparency.
So look, it is a fiasco, right? I mean, we shouldn't ignore that what a fiasco it is. He associated himself with the event. They couldn't get A-list talent. I can't.
Or B-list talent.
Or B-list talent, right? And so they went to this. They went to Jeff Epstein, not Jeffrey Epstein. Jeff Epstein, this guy, this agent, who basically it's an agent that represents most of the same people that dropped out. By the way, it's not like they went around and even worked really hard. I mean, they basically went to one guy who had all these sort of C-list talent people, these legacy talent acts, and just dumped them onto this set. And so, yes, it's a fiasco, and that's a big part of the story. And I think part of the thing that's indefensible with what Burgum was saying there is we know who one of the big donors is to this already. Us. Because part of the thing, we think about slush funds in the first half of the conversation, but this is a slush fund in effect, too. Because this was part of, there was 10 years ago, America 250 was created by Congress. Right. $100+ million was allocated to it. That's a big party. That could be a good party. You can pay for A-list talent with that money. Trump got into office. The first thing he did was set up this Freedom 250 gambit. That money then got radically redirected from what would have been to America 250 to this Freedom 250. And so, I can't help but disconnect that from what happened with the first slush fund, because this is part of how they operate.
Because we're now paying for the propaganda.
That's right. I mean, they're using public money. So I'm sure there's all kinds of self-dealing things happening here, all kinds of obvious rank corruption, some reporting about people paying to get access. That part's gross, and we want that transparency. But the real scandal already is in the thing we already know, which is they diverted public money to this thing, which is Trump's essential event of his own party that is so toxic that only he can really be the the person showing up for it. That's the part that I found so outrageous and crazy. And so Burgum should first be forced to explain that. That's a lot of money that got redirected. And where's it going? It's not going for talent now. What's it being used for? Nobody knows this information. It's crazy.
And the fact that this is run out of the White House is just,
Again, people should not gloss over Angelo's point. America 250 was a bipartisan thing. Over 10 years ago, it was created by an act of Congress to celebrate our semi-quincentennial.
There you go.
250, okay? I've been working on it.
Really good.
Okay?
Y'all don't know how much she's been practicing that one.
It was important to me to get it right. They told me I could just say 250, but I was like, no, I need the name. But your point is that like, for other things, they're stealing from us. Yet again, and for this one, we don't know where the money is going that they stole. We know where the taxpayer funds that they stole are going for the ballroom because we can see it being built and then some other stuff under it. We don't know where this one is going. They haven't even attempted to give us an explanation on this. Here's my thing. I think that the slush fund and America 250 and really all of these things, even Delaney Hall, it all boils down to narrative and legitimacy and who gets to be American and what is American and what is patriot, who is a patriot and who gets to define that. And so I want people to know that not only are they stealing our money, okay, per Angelo, they're also trying to rewrite American history and taking a little bus around the country to do it. This also being paid for with our tax dollars. This is from The Guardian on April 29th. Notably, these are about the Freedom Trucks. It's a tour of Trump's skewed tribute to American history on 18 wheels. Notably, America is depicted as a white Christian nation. Several black luminaries are mentioned. Among the 50 American heroes are Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, and Rosa Parks. But the prevailing wind blowing through the truck is towards the white men who led the charge to nationhood, with minor roles granted to their women dutifully holding the fort back home, and on God as the source of the country's greatness. Not only is the president using our 250th anniversary to center himself as like the cultural pedestal, they're also attempting to rewrite the history and to indoctrinate people with some BS. PragerU is the same video that said, oh, slavery wasn't that bad, they was learning stuff. Those are those same videos. Those are the people that are getting the money to take these vans around the country to every single state and indoctrinate these communities. And they think...
And who had a say on what's in the van?
The government.
Actually, what they're saying and what they're teaching.
So those are all legitimate questions, right? I think...
and you've got to give us all that answer.
No.
So I will tell you what I thought of when I heard that beautiful soliloquy is what Michelle Obama once told us, is that the presidency doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. And I think right now, on any number of fronts, including what you just said, the public, including many of his supporters who voted for him, they're finding out who he really is. He is a man who does and says whatever he thinks his voters and potential voters and supporters want to hear. And so on the race-related stuff that you just mentioned, there is an element of his of the MAGA base that appeals to. And he wants to make sure that they stay on his side, right? Going back to economic issues, he told us, you guys talk about this almost every night, that he was going to fix the economy on day one, right? He said that he was going to release the Epstein files. He said that he was going to eliminate the federal deficit. He said that he was going to get rid of Obamacare and, quote, replace it with something beautiful, Angelo. He says all these things. I mean, getting rid of the worst of the worst, right? You all just did this amazing segment on what's happening at Delaney Hall. I mean, these are not the worst of the worst. These are women and children who are being treated worse than American citizens. But there is an element of his base that he is speaking to. The good news, and I like to end on good news,
where is
that people are waking up. Even the non-MAGA supporters who voted for him. And that, I think, is giving Republicans at this building right behind us some reason to be really concerned about what happens this November.
250th anniversary. I mean, it is a reminder, too, that we are still grappling with this question of, is this exactly who we are, or is this not who we are? Has he revealed our truest self to us, or as he called to our lesser angels? it's a question I think we'd be grappling with regardless of who leadership was, but it is in such stark relief in this moment, and I don't know that we're any closer to that answer.
We would be, and we should be, right? Because it doesn't just go away. It is a part of our history, and that is a reality. We can't ignore it. It has always been a part of our history, is to make it better and to grapple with the fact that we are trying to make it better. I think what makes this moment so different is that instead of it being something where we are being introspective, we're actually in a combat posture. That part that is so deeply ingrained in us, which is our racism, and look, we love conspiracies. America loves, and that is sometimes it's a little salt, it's a little flavor, it's a little taste, it's nice. When it's spread out, when it becomes an organizing engine for power, and the thing that is driving us toward the future, it is much scarier and destructive.